What's going on, folks? The house is now divided. It is your boy, resident Michigan fan, Marcus. Go ahead, smash that like button, share, get this content out to everybody, all of your football lovers in your world. Make sure you get that in front of them. Saturdays, we go on at 11 with the big college football show at 11. Myself, Josh, Mays, Madman, Boxing Maniac, Johnny Oden. It's must see TV. Don't miss out on that. Follow us throughout the week for game breakdowns. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. So the Michigan Wolverines last week faced off against the New Mexico Lobos. Is that there? Went well. Went well. Offensively, showed an ultimate balance. I think between the passing game and the run game. Defense looked dominant at times. Could have played a little bit stronger at a few spots. We'll go through it. All in all, good dominant team performance. A pleasantly surprisingly efficient game from Bryce Underwood. A lot of good positives to take away, some concerns, a lot of things to talk about going into Oklahoma. We'll get into it all. Let's break down New Mexico first. So offensively, starting out with the quarterback, I think he played above what I was expecting. He played above his level. Um, a lot of that command of the offense talk, that being a leader talk, I can tell now that wasn't just lip service. That wasn't just coach speak. He does seem to be very comfortable, and a lot of that could be, how comfortable Chip Lindsey was able to make it for him early on in the game against an inferior opponent. At the same time, it didn't really look dumbed down to the point where it was bare bones offenses. They were changing formations. They ran, I think, like 16 RPOs in the total snap count. So a lot of variation, even in the basicness of the offense. A lot of eye candy, a lot of changing things up. So I liked it. The running game looked very well. Justice Haynes got his foot forward right now as being that lead back. Played extremely well. Um, I think it's going to take some time. Whenever you have take some time for Jordan Marshall is where I'm going with this. Whenever you have a 1A 1B type system, when it's like that, when you go into the season like that, it's different if it kind of develops that way throughout the season. But when you go into the season kind of thinking, all right, well, these both guys are both starting quarterbacks, for some reason or another, there seems to be this like letdown with the second back. I think Ohio State experienced this early on in their experiment last year with Quinshawn Juggins and Travion Henderson. I think we experienced this a bit with Donovan and Blake when they thought it was going to be a 1A, 1B, right? It feels like it's almost a little bit more naturally that way when there's a defined starter and that next guy has to earn his way into snaps, as opposed to when it's like we can't pick a starter because both these guys are so good. For some reason, the second guy to get the ball is always a little bit of a drop off. I don't know if it's offensive line blocking. I don't know if this is the way we're calling it. And it's only one game, right? I wouldn't take Jordan Marshall's performance against New Mexico to be representative of how he's going to run, throughout the year. 11 carries for 29 yards, 2.6 a carry. I don't expect that to be his norm. But even still, something to look at, that they get the ball in Jordan Marshall's hands and get him a rhythm, because he is going to be a key part of what we do this season, win, lose, or draw. So it's going to be very important with that. Main thing with the offense is that no turnovers. Nobody put the pill on the ground. Nobody threw it away. Um, Efficient offense. Efficient offense. Marlon Klein looks like a different man, right? He's got a bona fide QB, a gunslinger on his side now. So looks like a guy who can take another step this year, stepping in for Colston Loveland as the pass catcher, as the Y. Um, Brady. Brady got a lot of looks, right? Brady caught a pass. Obviously in on a lot of gangbusters, able to move guys around. I thought Evan Link looked okay for the most part. I was worried about him. I thought Evan Link looked okay. I thought Blake Frazier looked okay. So you can tell that battle is still going on. I'm not worried, But I'm keeping my eye on this right guard situation because it has Carson Barnhart written all over it. Like, we just want this guy to be on the field, so he's going to get on the field. I thought Nathan Afobe played great. Um, Brady Norton didn't play bad, but I when I saw something pop inside, I was looking at Nathan Afobe. Now it could just be me not having, obviously don't have the coach's copy. That's one watch. I'm just saying, when I saw Nathan Afobe in, I liked what I saw of him. I thought he was, the guy slotted to be the starter all off season. But again, it seems like that's going to play out throughout the season. So both guys are going to have a chance to play there. Wide receiver wise, already, and it's not like we had crazy off the wall performances from the wide receivers. But you look like, obviously, we talked about Marlon Klein a little bit, 6 catches for 93 yards, 15 per catch average, and he had the TD from Bryce. Channing Goodwin came up big in a spot where it looked like the offense had kind of really bogged down and was given an opportunity for New Mexico to get back into it. Had a huge catch and a dot from Bryce over the middle down the seam on a long third down. So he kind of popped off the screen. Samaj Morgan had 4 for 33. You can tell that they really want to get him involved. I think he had around another 20 yards rushing too. They want to get him involved often and early, and I like that. I like that they're not afraid to put the ball in his hands and let him make plays. Now, if we're not going to catch the punts, buddy, dog, big dog. I had to correct myself now. Somebody did put it on the ground. I still don't think we lost it. We were lucky enough to get it back. But same thing, I think, with Andrew Marsh. Andrew Marsh lose one? We might have lost the Andrew Marsh one. Yeah, we lost Andrew Marsh's fumble. We lost Andrew Marsh. But that one happened on special teams. Can't blame that on offense. Wide receivers looking a lot better even on in the early parts of the season as opposed to what we were getting out the gate last year. Kendrick Bell, another one who had a really nice catch and run there, and I think it was in the third quarter. So a lot of RPO. You can tell it's going to be a staple of the offense. I look for them to work play action a lot more versus Oklahoma because they were very diligent about running the ball, over 200 yards rushing along with their over 200 yards passing. So able to be very balanced and kind of go to what they wanted to at any given time. It wasn't like New Mexico was able to dictate them to any advantage. They were pretty much just styling up what they wanted. So a lot for Oklahoma to study, a lot for them to have to consider. They didn't even run Bryce in this game. So, there's a whole element to the kids' game that they haven't even seen yet. And they've got to play them now. So, we don't play in the middle of the season. We play week 2. So see how that shakes out. Defensively, man, oh, man, oh, man. So I still think that there is more depth on this defensive line than on any other defensive line in the conference. What I may adjust about my analysis of our defense is that as far as top end talent goes, as far as like popping off the screen, making plays every game, maybe there's one or two guys in the conference somewhere around Pennsylvania who have something to say about that. But I'm going to give TJ Guy and Derek Moore, a little bit of leeway. And the reason why is these are guys who were able to get sacks last year, right? Derek Moore was almost there every single time Mason or Kenneth Garrett was getting their sacks on the inside. TJ Guy had 4.5 on his own, like on his own merit, just kind of coming off the bench. So I do expect those guys to produce this year. How often, how consistent will it be? That'll be something that'll be the tale of our season. But in terms of just sheer depth and being able to send waves, I think that Wink has options. He's got options. Jay Sham coming back in the second half of the Oklahoma game is going to be big. For a devastating targeting call in the second half, which didn't really need to get called. But anywho, it is a benefit to them to have such fast athletic guys in the front seven, something I anticipated. They are going to have to get more pressure when they're just sending 4. That's something that's going to have to develop throughout the season. It's not something that we saw a lot last weekend from New Mexico. So I do think that that's something they're going to want to have in their arsenal at a certain time, because sending five puts you in jeopardy, right? If you can find the guy, if you can find the rabbit, you're in good shape. So we don't want that, obviously. But just in terms of sheer performance, I think a lot of those guys play good. I like what I saw out of Damon Payne. I like what I saw out of Eno Etta when he got in, was doing work. Um, but we mentioned the linebackers, Cole Sullivan and Jimmy Rolder, both making big plays coming off the bench, right? And that's not to say that the guys in front of them weren't making plays, because Jay Sean Barham and Ernest Hausman were amongst the ones whose name was getting called constantly. Safety play, I like what I saw from Metcalf. Um, I think that Jaden Mangum played really well. He was questionable to even play that game, so I'm glad he got out there and he was able to play. I thought Mason Curtis played okay. The only point of concern is being able to play press on the outside. It's the only point of contention. I don't think you can sit back and play quarters all game. Um, I don't think you can sit back and play max zone all game. I think at a certain point in time, with the amount of pressure that we put on, we are going to have to get in people's grill and play man to man. And so I think we have one and a half guys to do that right now that I absolutely trust. It's not enough, right? We need to see a healthy Shamari Earls. And honestly, it's about time that we see Suge take a step. I've heard a lot about Jair here in the offseason, about how talented he is and how much of an athletic freak and this, that, and the third. And that's all stuff that we knew coming in high school. It's time for us to get something more out of Jair. It's time for us to see a more mature player than him, somebody that we can actually depend on. So far as New Mexico goes, I feel like that's pretty much the gist. I would give the team as a whole a B plus, maybe not an A. Maybe I want to see them score a little bit more. Maybe not give up the second half drive that they gave up to New Mexico. But early season, new starting quarterback, a lot of new pieces on defense. I expect them, if this is the starting point, to be tenfold, a lot better towards the end of the season. So this is a much better jumping off point than where we were coming, I think, last year, where there were a lot more question marks and a lot less answers to go to if the initial answer didn't work out. So I'm a lot more confident and Wink in year two and Chip even in year one comparison to our last offensive coordinator. So I think there's a lot of positive takes from this game, but there's also a few things to be concerned about facing a team like Oklahoma. So now, obviously moving on to that game, we got John Mateer and the Oklahoma Booming Sooners down in Norman, Oklahoma next week in prime time, 7:30. It's going to be a big time matchup, man. And to be honest, I think that there's a lot for Michigan season riding on this game. We talk a lot about how the playoffs change things and kind of ratcheted down how significant the regular season is. But this is a interesting circumstance where if you're Michigan and somehow you're able to go on the road with the freshman QB and steal this game, the rest of Michigan's road until we get to November 29th is not that difficult. Not at all. Not at all. And so now 11-1, 12-0 start becoming a realistic view with a wild card like Bryce Underwood in a playoff standpoint where you could be playing anybody from Ohio State again to goddamn James Madison or SMU. That's it's a dangerous spot for a lot of teams to be in, having that guy in a playoff setting. So we could really set ourselves up to not only develop throughout the season, but do so while playing beatable teams most of the time. And that is an advantage. That's an advantage for us in this year. I'm not big on the latest expansion or how far we've gone into this newer age of college football, but if you can take a kind of biased positive in it for this season, is that Michigan had a pretty light conference schedule. And because of the amount of teams in the conference, it won't be the last time it's like that. So this is a circumstance where you have a young kid where you don't want to necessarily be playing the blue bloods of the conference, the hard nosed hitters of the conference early on, and you don't have to with him. This is a pretty light conference schedule for Michigan this year, so I think the sky's the limit if we're able to pull this game out. With Mateer and Oklahoma's offense, I think he went for 350 or so. I want to see how they plan to attack John. Are they going to bring an extra guy? Are they going to disguise who that guy is even within that? Do they try to get just four to start? I do anticipate seeing a lot of those either outside linebackers or defensive end drop stunts that we got in the Texas game last year, just a little bit more effectively. just a little bit more effectively. I think that's something that they worked a lot in the offseason. I would hope, because I think that'll help with the RPO game coming from Oklahoma side, right? Like it's not so easy to anticipate a 260, 270, 80-pound guy, stunting out to the flat, trying to get in your passing window when you're rolling out. So that's something that I think that they could throw at him to throw it off. But at the end of the day, they are going to need bodies, not just on the defensive line, but in the defensive backfield as well. They're going to have to play well. They're going to have to run. Oklahoma's going to go tempo. They're going to try to beat us in the air. They're going to try and test our mettle. If we can't touch John Mateer, it's going to be a long day. So that's going to be one of the keys to the game, or as Josh Pate would like to say it, a padlock stat. How many sacks does Michigan get on John Mateer? How many times do they get in the backfield? And not even just sacks. Like, how many times do they adjust his focus? How much times do they pressure him, flush him out, errant throws, tip passes? That stuff counts, right? Because now it goes into your memory bank when you make the next throw and the next throw and the next throw. So it's going to be key to kind of disrupt his rhythm early. Defensively, I know that Oklahoma is pretty stout on the defensive line. Obviously, Brent Venables' coach team is going to be very aggressive on the defensive end. I'm going to show you a lot of looks. I think our best bet, as always, this is just kind of how it goes here at Michigan, is to smash. Not just because the offense is where it's at, not just because you don't want to put too much on Bryce's plate here early on, but I think the longer we have the ball, the longer we possess. This isn't a game where I want to match tempo with Oklahoma. We're not getting into a shootout with Oklahoma. We're not going to do it. This is the game where I want to keep John Mateer sitting on the sidelines. I want to get him on a 3-and-out on his first possession, and then I want him to sit on the bench for 5 minutes. And then I want him to come out for his next position and get him off within a set of downs, maybe 2. And then I want him to sit for another 5 minutes. I want him watching the game more than he's playing. That's the easiest way to take a gunslinger out of the game, is to make him sit on the bench. And Michigan has the personnel to do that. They have the personnel to do that. They can run out of too many different formations, and then they have a cheat code when you stack the box. They'll just bring in an extra blocker and make Bryce the +1 runner. And that's a nightmare. That's a nightmare. We haven't even had to show them to him yet. So I don't even know how much they're prepping on it. I'm sure they're prepping a little bit. They've seen his high school tape, but he didn't show it last week. You got to play the game, right? You gotta judge off of what they put on tape and not necessarily what you think they're gonna do. You got to based off of what they've shown you that they're going to do. So I think there's a lot of potential there, but it starts with dominating the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball and possessing it with your Michigan's offense. Like, this is a game where I definitely want to win time of possession. I definitely want to win the rushing game. And just like we did in this past game, win the turnover battle, right? Keep the ball on our side more than they're able to. And I honestly, again, y'all don't want to deal with me if we win this game. You do not want to deal with me if we win this game. Okay? Oh, man. Hold your seats. Hang on to your shorts, college football world, if we go down to Norman and beat Oklahoma this weekend, because I don't think it will stop us. Who's going to stop us? No, in all seriousness, though, this is a huge step in the maturation of one Bryce Underwood. Big step in the defense's maturation, right? A lot to prove. A lot of guys gone in the early rounds of the draft. Mason gone, Will gone, Kenneth gone. A lot of guys that meant a lot to this defense now are playing on Sunday. So gotta plug and play. Gotta plug and play. Gotta put guys in those positions now. We need new playmakers. We need new guys to pop off the screen and make plays for us. So I think that we can do that. I think it's possible. I think we have the personnel. I think we have the coaches. It's just will we execute? Will we be able to execute more than Oklahoma? Will we be able to break their wheel? Most teams, the answer has been yes. I don't see why Oklahoma couldn't be one of them. So, official score prediction. You're gonna have to catch me on Saturday morning at 11 on the kickoff show, and I'll give you my score prediction there. Other than that, you give me yours and the prompt below. One more time, like, share, subscribe. Continuing to trying to grow this thing out. We much appreciate everybody who's joined on with us so far. Keep watching. We still got more stuff coming for you. We'll catch you on another one. See you this Saturday, folks.